Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to History Maker Baseball here on the Epic Sports Broadcasting Network. My name is Dave Little, and we are coming to you live from the Dave Cave with Game 2 of the Championship Series of the Best Team I've Ever Seen tournament. This is a best 2 out of 3 series. The Chicago White Sox 2003 version took Game 1 over the 2005 Padres, and here tonight at U.S. Cellular Field, the White Sox have a chance to win it all. As this is game number 72, I believe, of History Maker Baseball that we have played in this tournament, starting with 32 teams. And we are down to the final two as the 2005 Padres won the National League bracket and the 2003 White Sox won the American League bracket. And these teams are squaring off in the championship finals. And in Game 1, it was the White Sox who jumped all over Padres starter Adam Eaton for 6 runs in the first 2 innings. And the White Sox made it stand up, even though the Padres chipped away at the lead. Working against White Sox starter Esteban Loaiza, the Padres got it to a 6-4 ball game, and threatened in the 8th and threatened in the 9th, but Gary Glover and Tom Gordon shut the door for Chicago, giving the White Sox the opening game victory. We're here today for Game 2, and if the White Sox win this, they will take home the tournament title as the best team I've ever seen. Should be a good pitching matchup tonight as the Padres send their ace to the mound, Jake Peavy, 13-7 with a 2.88 ERA. To face the White Sox, Bartolo Colon, 15-13 with a 3.87 ERA. Your hot batter tonight will be Damien Jackson for the Padres. He went 2 for 3 with 2 runs batted in Game 1. Ramon Hernandez took the 0 for 5. He was the cold guy in Game 1. He is still the cold guy here in Game 2. For the White Sox, Maglio Ordonez tore the cover off the ball in Game 1. With a triple, a single, and a home run came a double short of the cycle. 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs. He will be your hot guy tonight. The cold guy tonight is Aaron Rowand, who struck out 3 times in the first 3 innings in the middle of White Sox rallies. The Padres are tense. They are semi-dissonant tonight. The White Sox remain semi-harmonious, but not overconfident, coming into their opportunity to shut down the series and end the tournament here at U.S. Cellular Field. Carlos Lee is happy for the White Sox, and that will actually make the White Sox that will make the White Sox fully harmonious if we do go to any of the team chemistry roles. For the Padres, Mark Loretta was out of the game with injury in Game 1. He got into it with members of the media after Game 1, and he comes into Game 2 as a cold batter according to the game day charts. The wind today in U.S. Cellular Field is blowing in, which means it's going to be a little harder for the ball to get out of here. U.S. Cellular Field is small in both dimensions, but it will be semi-small in both dimensions for this game. And if there are any outfield drama rolls, if the lead die on that roll is black, then the fielding rating will be decreased by 1 ranking due to the difficulties playing the ball in the wind. That is your particulars for tonight's ball game as we say hello to Amish Gaming, who is in the chat room. Welcome to this afternoon's ball game. Your umpires for today: Dave Gardner takes the home plate duties. Jim Browning moves over to first base. Ron Juckett, the irrepressible one, is out at second base. And over at third is the legend himself, Keith Avalone. Taking you to your starting lineups. For the Padres, leading off in center field, Dave Roberts. Batting second baseman Mark Loretta. Batting third and the designated hitter tonight is Brian Giles. Ramon Hernandez bats cleanup and plays catcher. Mark Sweeney bats first and plays first base and bats fifth. Batting sixth and playing right field tonight, Xavier Nady. Ryan Klesko gets the start in left field and bats seventh. Khalil Green bats eighth and plays shortstop. Batting ninth, the third baseman, Damien Jackson. For the White Sox, Aaron Rowand is in his customary leadoff position, playing center field, followed by the other outfielders, Carlos Lee in left and Maglio Ordonez in right. Frank Thomas has had a quiet series, but he is batting cleanup and the DH tonight. Joe Creedy bats fifth and plays third base. Paul Konerko returns to the lineup tonight, playing first base and batting sixth. Tony Graffinino is the second baseman, batting seventh. Jose Valentin bats eighth and plays shortstop. Catching and batting ninth, Miguel Olivo. Once again, your starting pitchers for San Diego, Jake Peavy, and for the White Sox, Bartolo Colon. We'll take a quick look at the bullpens before we get tonight's game started. For the Padres, Rudy Cienez is not available tonight. He was forced to pitch 2 innings in Game 1. Takanori Otsuka is available only for 2/3 of an inning. Everybody else in the Padres bullpen is available for at least 1 inning. For the White Sox, they have everybody available for over 1 inning. Let's see, Damaso Marte can go 1 inning and 2/3, and everybody else can go at least 2 innings. So the White Sox have a fully loaded bullpen. The Padres are a little bit limited, but they have got their ace, Jake Peavy, on the mound, and Peavy is going to have to come up big if the Padres are going to win here tonight and force a deciding Game 3 in this championship series, which would take place tomorrow at around 7 p.m. here on the Epic Sports Broadcasting Network. And with that, I think we are ready to get things started, as D. Scott Howard has joined us here in the chat room. Hello, D. Scott Howard, and welcome to the ballpark for today's baseball game. And we are ready for action, as home plate umpire Dave Gardner says, play ball. And Dave Roberts stands in to lead things off against Bartolo Colon. And the first pitch of tonight's game is a 2-3-5. Is the pitcher wild? No, Colon is a double control and a semi-flash. Is the batter eager? No, he is not. And the result is a ground out to second base. So Dave Roberts grounds out to get things started. And that will bring to the plate the cold batting Mark Loretta. Loretta takes a look at a 1-1-6. Is the pitcher fresh? Yes, he is, and that is a strikeout. And that brings to the plate the best hitter on the Padres, the number 3 hitter, Brian Giles. Giles takes a look at a 1-2-4. Is he a control pitcher? He sure is, and that is a ground out to shortstop to end the inning. So quickly, 3 up and 3 down for the Padres in the top of the first. And as we head to the bottom of the first, the score is San Diego 0 and Chicago coming to bat. And coming to bat first for the White Sox will be Aaron Rowand, the cold batter. Rowand against Peavy. Peavy is a full star, a full flash, a full control. Rowand takes a look at a 1-2-6. Is the pitcher fresh? He is. And that is a line drive out to second base to open the game for the White Sox. Here's Carlos Lee. Lee levels the bat against Peavy. Peavy winds and delivers a 2-4-6. Is he a control pitcher? Yes, indeed. And that is going to be a comebacker to the mound for the second out of the inning. Quickly, 2 outs for the hot-hitting Maglio Ordonez for Chicago. Pitch to Ordonez is a 2-5-6. Is the pitcher a struggler? No. Is the batter a champion? He is a semi-champion. And the decider die says yes, and as a result of that roll, Maglio Ordonez draws a walk. So we've got our first base runner of the game with Frank Thomas at the plate. We haven't done a whole lot of stealing, but Ordonez can go on a 1-4, assuming he gets his lead. So he's going to take a look at that with 2 outs and the opportunity to get the first run of the game home against Jake Peavy. And a pit means he gets his lead. And on a roll of 3, Maglio Ordonez has stolen second base. And that puts him in scoring position with 2 men out now for the cleanup hitter, the designated hitter, Frank Thomas. Thomas takes a look at a 2-4-5. Is the pitcher a star? He certainly is, and that is another strikeout. So the White Sox get a base runner, but they do not score. And we head to the top of the second inning, still scoreless, with Ramon Hernandez leading off for San Diego. He takes a look at the first offering from Colon, and it's a 1-3-5. That is going to take us to our mini charts. And with a lead die of blue, that means we go to the umpire mini charts. And with the bases empty, we'll roll the dice and get a 1-2. Is there a strict umpire at second base? No, Ron Juckett is out there and he's lenient. A strict umpire would rule the batter out at second base, stretching a single to a double. Other umpires call the batter safe, so Hernandez just beats the throw into second, and he has started off the second inning with a leadoff double. And that will bring to the plate Mark Sweeney as we head back to the standard play charts. Sweeney standing in against Bartolo Colon. The pitch from Colon is a 4.66. Is he a control pitcher? He's a double control pitcher. That means the pitch is red, and Sweeney delivers a single to left field. And that will, on a lead die of 4, score the runner from second base. And the Padres have the first run of the ball game. It's a 1-0 ball game with Mark Sweeney now perched at first base. Still nobody out for the right fielder Xavier Nady. Nady getting the start in right field tonight by virtue of the designated hitter rule. The usual right fielder Brian Giles is DHing tonight for San Diego. The pitch to Nady is a 1-2-6. Is the pitcher fresh? He is, and that is a line out to second base for the first out of the inning. Sweeney will be forced to hold, and with 1 out now, it is Ryan Klesko coming to the plate. Klesko takes a look at a 5.66. Is the pitcher wild? No. Does the batter have a good eye? No. That's a strikeout. Klesko takes a look at a called strike 3 for the second out of the inning, and that will take us to the baseball right now chart as Khalil Green comes to the plate. Colon semi-hot after the strikeout. Khalil Green is neutral, and on a roll of 1-4, do we have a cold batter? No. His big swing connects and takes us to the outfield drama chart. And remember, the wind is blowing in today, and that may make things more difficult for the outfielders. And the roll is a 2-6. Is the center fielder stoic? Your center fielder tonight for the White Sox is Aaron Rowand, and he is out there specifically for his defense, but his running is stoic. So what is going to happen here? Rowand dives for the fast fading fly ball and cannot make the play, and the ball drops in for a single. So that is going to go as a single for Khalil Green, and on a lead die of 2, the runner will advance only 1 base. And that will take us to our team chemistry chart now, with 2 men and 2 men out. And the number 9 hitter, Damien Jackson, coming to the plate. As we look to the team chemistry chart, the roll is 2-4. Do we have batting team harmony? The Padres are semi-dissonant tonight, so they do not have batting team harmony. We will not see a bloop single. Instead, we're going to go back to the outfield drama chart. And this could be huge with 2 men outs, with 2 men on and 2 men out. As this time the roll is a 2-6. Is the center fielder stoic? He's still stoic. I know that's a different dice roll, because this time the lead die is the black one. And on a lead die of 2, runners advance 1 base, and that is going to load the bases. As once again, Aaron Rowand is unable to make the play on a shallow fly ball into center field. And the bases are loaded now with 2 outs. And coming to the plate is the leadoff hitter, Dave Roberts. And let's see, based on the result of the last play, we are going to the team chemistry chart again. As Roberts stands in against Bartolo Colon. This is a big situation early in the game, as the Padres are threatening to put up a crooked number here in the top of inning number 2. The roll is a 1-2. Do we have batting team dissonance? They are semi-dissonant, but this time the decider die says no, and instead of a called third strike, we have a fence check. Dave Roberts is a normal hitter, and on the fence chart, a roll of 5 is a triple. Dave Roberts jerks one down the right field line, and it bounces off the base of the wall, bounces past Maglio Ordonez. Dave Roberts is running from the crack of the bat, and with 2 men out, the base runners are all moving. Mark Sweeney will score. Khalil Green will score. Damien Jackson will score. Dave Roberts ends up at third with a bases clearing triple. And very quickly, it is a 4-0 lead in favor of the visiting Padres. All of this damage being done with 2 outs, and as a result, let's see, triple, single, single. Bartolo Colon is now a semi-struggler as he faces the cold-hitting Mark Loretta coming to the plate. The pitch to Loretta is a 1-1-6. Is Colon fresh? He is still fresh, and that's a strikeout to end the inning. But the damage has been done as the Padres touch Colon for 4 runs on 5 hits, and they are quickly out to a 4-0 lead. Heading now to the bottom of the second, Jake Peavy has been staked to a 4-run lead, which is exactly what the Padres wanted to see tonight, as they have their best guy on the mound. And here's Joe Creedy leading off for the White Sox. Pitch to Creedy is a 1-4-5. Is the pitcher a struggler? No, he is not. And that is going to be a ground out to first base to open the inning. Peavy takes the flip from Mark Sweeney for the first out, and that brings Paul Konerko to the plate. Oh, the pitch to Konerko is a 2-4-6. Is Peavy a control? Yes, he is. And that is going to result in a comebacker to the mound for the second out. And to the plate with 2 outs and the bases empty comes Tony Graffinino. The pitch to Graffinino is 4-6-6. That's another control check. But this time, as a result of Peavy's control rating, Graffinino reads the pitch and delivers a single to left field. And the White Sox have their first hit of the ball game. Graffinino pulls in at first, and that'll bring the 2-out batter to the plate, Jose Valentin. Peavy sights the sign, winds and delivers 2-4-5. Is the batter a hero? No. And the result of that is a pop out to second base, and that will end the inning. So Peavy continues to coast with a 4-0 lead as we head to the top of the third. And with Brian Giles at the plate, we head to the player experience charts. Colon a semi-icon, Giles a full icon. And on a roll of 2-3, do we have a prospect pitcher? No. And that results in a ground out to second base. Graffinino makes the play to Konerko for the first out of the inning. And that brings to the plate the cold-hitting Ramon Hernandez. One, 2, 3 is the pitch to Hernandez. Is the pitcher both a flash and fresh? He's a semi-flash, and the decider die says no. And the end result of that play will be a ground out to shortstop for the second out of the inning. And that brings up Mark Sweeney, who singled in the first inning. I'm sorry, singled in his first at bat. That was in the second inning. And that's what got the rally started for the Padres as they put up a 4-spot. The pitch to Sweeney is a 1-6-6. Is the pitcher a workman? No. Is the batter a whiffer? Yes, he is, and that is a strikeout. So Colon comes back after a tough second inning and pitches a 1-2-3 third, but the score remains 4-0 in favor of the Padres as we head to the bottom of the third, and Jake Peavy returning to the mound. D. Scott Howard says the top of the second is a good demonstration of the intricacies of History Maker baseball. And yes, sir, you are correct. Okay, Miguel Olivo leads off, the number 9 hitter for the White Sox. Peavy delivers a 2-3-6. Is he a double control? No. Is this a pitcher batting? No. Olivo draws a walk. And that brings Aaron Rowand to the plate, facing Peavy, who lined out his first time at bat. And now he takes a look at a 1-3-5, and back to the mini charts we go. On a lead die of 1, that is going to take us back to the umpire mini charts. And we now have a runner on first base. As we go to the umpire mini charts, let's see what's going to happen with the men in blue. The roll is a 1-3. Is there a questionable umpire at home? Dave Gardner is semi-questionable. The decider die says yes. And so Gardner calls a questionable third strike. Generous strike zone there for Dave Gardner, and the frustrations continue for Aaron Rowand as he strikes out looking. The runner will hold, and that is your first out of the inning. And I talked about this earlier in the tournament. These ratings of questionable and respected or strict and lenient don't have anything to do with the competence of the umpire. It's merely a reflection of their on-base percentage and their proportion of balls and strikes, I believe, are how those ratings are determined. So in this case, Dave Gardner is known to have a generous strike zone as an umpire, and he rings up the hitter Aaron Rowand, much to the frustration of Rowand. And with 1 out and Olivo still at first base, Carlos Lee is now your batter. Lee takes a look at a 1-5-5. Is he a home run king? He's a semi-home run king, but the decider die says no, and that is going to go as a fly out to center field. 2 outs now as Olivo holds on first, and the batter is the hot-hitting Maglio Ordonez. Ordonez looks in at Peavy. Peavy sights the sign, and it's another 1-3-5, and it's back to the umpire mini charts. Let's see what these men in blue are going to do in this situation. This time the roll is a 1-4. Is there a lenient umpire at home? No, he is not. So this time, rather than a strike 3 called, it's going to be a ball 1. Batter still at bat. So back to the standard charts we go. And when we get a break, I'll take a look at the rule book and see exactly where those ratings come from. But Ordonez remains at the plate as he is the beneficiary of a tight strike zone. And now on the re-roll, it's a 2-2-4. Is the pitcher pitching at home? No. Is the batter a slugger? Ordonez is a full slugger, and the result of that play is a double to left field. Olivo is your runner at first base. He is a normally rated runner, and with 2 men out and a lead die of 2, it will still be just a 2-base advance. He an active runner, he could score from first, but he is a normal runner, so he will be forced to pull up at third base. And with runners at second and third and still 2 outs, Frank Thomas will be your hitter. No reason to risk losing a base runner with a 4-run deficit, especially not with a hitter of the capabilities of Frank Thomas in your on-deck circle. So let's see if Thomas can deliver against Peavy here with 2 on and 2 outs. The roll's a 3-5-6. Are batter and pitcher the same? Yes, they are, and that is a strikeout. So Thomas goes down swinging on a nasty cut fastball from Peavy. And the White Sox threaten but do not score here in the bottom of the 3rd. And as we head to the 4th, it is still a 4-0 ball game. And while I'm thinking about it, I am going to look at the umpire charts. And I think I have to do that from the How to Make Card rules. Strict umpires. The strict umpires have 10% based on the lowest on-base percentage allowed. Lenient umpires have the highest on-base percentage allowed. And then for respected and questionable, that has to do with the strikeout to walk ratio. The middle 10% are given the respected quality, so the ones right at the center of the curve. And the top and bottom 5% of the umpires are given the questionable quality. So when I made the umpires, I simply made 20 names and then chose randomly to create 2 strict, 2 lenient, 2 semi-strict, 2 semi-lenient, 2 respected, 2 semi-respected, and so on out of this group. So rather than go umpire by umpire and rate each one separately, I figured out of a group of 20 umpires there would be 2 with each designation. Those were determined randomly. That's how we get there. And again, that's based on the overall on-base percentage and the strikeout to walk ratio of any given umpire. All right, so that having been taken care of, we will head to the top of the 4th. It will be 6, 7, and 8 for San Diego. Still leading 4-0 as Bartolo Colon steps to the mound for the 4th inning. Both starters are now considered semi-fresh. The first pitch to Nady is a 1-2-4. Is he a control pitcher? He is a double control pitcher, and that will be a ground out to shortstop. Next up for the Padres is Ryan Klesko. The pitch to Klesko is a 1-3-4. Do we have a gold catcher? No. Both catchers in this game are normal. Do we have a champion hitter? No. And we go back to the outfield drama chart. The outfield drama chart has not been kind to the White Sox here tonight. And with the wind blowing in, it becomes that much more complicated. And the play is a 4-6. Is the left fielder iron? The lead die is black on this one. So with the wind blowing in, that makes Carlos Lee go from normal to semi-iron. And the decider die makes Carlos Lee go from semi-iron to iron. So once again, bad news on the outfield drama chart for the White Sox. As the wind-blown ball makes the outfielder indecisive, he cannot make the play, and the ball drops in for a single. So Klesko is aboard with a wind-blown single. As Carlos Lee was not able to track that one down, and he will be at first base for the 8-hitter and the shortstop, Khalil Green, as we go to the team chemistry chart. The roll on the team chemistry chart is a 4-5. Do we have batting team harmony? The Padres are semi-dissonant tonight, so we do not see team harmony. Instead, we see a ground out to the choice infielder, and in this case, the choice infielder will be the third baseman, Joe Crede. Now, on a lead die of 4, runners advance one base on the ground out. So we will score that a 5-3 put out. And Ryan Klesko moves to second on the play. And with 2 outs now and Klesko in scoring position, the batter will be third baseman Damien Jackson. The pitch from Cologne to Jackson. 3-4-4 is the roll. Is the pitcher an ace or a star? No. Is the batter a sad sack? No. That is going to be a single to left field. And on a lead die of 3, runners advance 2 bases on any hit. So an RBI single for Damien Jackson is going to make it a 5-0 ball game as the Padres capitalize on another fielding misadventure for Chicago. And Damien Jackson pulls in at first base with the RBI single. Still 2 men out. Jackson is now a semi-active runner. And just to add insult to injury, he's going to try a stolen base. He is the first decider die says that he is a normal runner, but he can still advance on a roll of 1-4, assuming he gets his lead. And in this case, the decider die says he was unable to get his lead. So Jackson will end up perched at first base for Dave Roberts, who had that huge bases-clearing triple in the second inning that has busted this game open in the early innings. Pitch to Roberts is a 3-5-6. Are the batter and pitcher the same? No. Is the batter a utility or a sad sack? No. The result is a single down the first baseline. And on a lead die of 3, the runner advances 2 bases. So Dave Roberts delivers a single, and that allows Damien Jackson to scoot all the way around to third base on the play. Still 2 men out, but now runners at the corners for the unfortunately cold-hitting Mark Loretta. Loretta stands in against Bartolo Colon, hoping to deliver yet another run for his San Diego squad. The pitch is a 2-2-3. Is the pitcher wild? No. Is the batter a slugger or utility? No. And the result of that roll is a single to left. So Loretta delivers the single. Dave Roberts pulls in at second base as Damien Jackson scores, and it is now a 6-0 ball game. So once again, Bartolo Colon is struggling. And if he gives up one more run, he will be pulled according to the fatigue rules. And to the plate is the designated hitter and the best hitter on the Padres, Brian Giles. Giles takes a look at a 1-4-6. Is the pitcher a flash? He is a semi-flash, and unfortunately the decider die says no. Is the batter a champion? Giles is a semi-champion. This time the decider die says yes, and that's going to be a bloop single to left field. And with 2 outs and the runners in motion, that will allow Dave Roberts to score and Mark Loretta to move around to third. So Dave Roberts will score. Mark Loretta pulls into third. Giles is held up at first base. And that is going to be all for Bartolo Colon. 7 runs in 3 innings is the criteria by which the pitchers get pulled. And the White Sox are going to need some early help in this tournament, in Game 2 of this tournament, because they don't want to use up their whole bullpen, because it looks like we're going to go to Game 3. So Colon goes 3 2/3 for Chicago. We also have available John Garland if we need him for Chicago. He is the 4th starter and not slated for a start in this series. So much like we did with Brian Lawrence in Game 1, we'll make John Garland available for relief duties if the need arises. And the White Sox have a number of bad relief pitchers. So we are going to go right to Garland in this situation. And since Garland is a starter by nature, I'm also going to make an executive decision. And I'm going to allow Garland to go 2 innings of fresh and then 1 inning of semi-fresh. The typical reliever gets 1 inning of fresh and 1 inning of semi-fresh. But we'll let Gardner go finish this inning and pitch the 5th inning with full freshness. So Colon comes out. He's replaced by John Garland. There are still runners at the corners. There are still 2 outs, and it is Ramon Hernandez coming to the plate for San Diego. Since Garland is coming in the middle of the inning, he will get the ace quality for this batter. And Brandon Baker is here. Hello, Brandon. It's just the opposite of what we saw in Game 1. In Game 1, the White Sox jumped all over the Padres and jumped out to a 6-0 lead. Here in Game 2, it is the Padres who are rallying against Bartolo Colon. And in fact, Colon was just knocked out of the game after only 3 2/3 innings of work, facing a 7-0 deficit. And John Garland is in the game now in relief for the White Sox, facing Ramon Hernandez. The pitch to Hernandez is a 3-6-6. Is the batter a pinch hitter? No. The result is a fly out to center field. And that play will end the inning, but not until San Diego adds 3 more runs to their lead. And they go to the bottom of the 4th with a 7-0 lead. Jake Peavy is on the mound. He's the best the Padres have, and he is looking strong here tonight. No runs on 2 hits for the first 3 innings. And he will face 5, 6, and 7 here in the bottom of the 4th, as Joe Creedy is on to lead it off. The pitch to Creedy is a 1-4-4. Is the pitcher a flash? He is a full flash. Is the umpire questionable? He is questionable, but the decider die says no. So he is not questionable on this play, and he rings up Joe Creedy with a called strike 3. That's the first out of the inning, and that brings to the plate first baseman Paul Konerko. 2-5-6 is the roll. Is the pitcher a struggler? No, he is not. Is the batter champion or patient? No, he is not. And that takes us to the infield drama charts. Let's see what's going to happen in the Padres infield on this play. And the roll is 2-3. Is the second baseman iron? Your second baseman tonight is Tony Graffinino, and he is out there for his glove because he is, this is Mark Loretta. Mark Loretta is a normal fielder, and so he is not an iron fielder. And on the roll of 2-3, he makes the play of the routine ground ball and delivers it to first base for the out. And with 2 outs, that brings to the plate Tony Graffinino. The pitch to Graffinino is a 1-6-6. The pitcher is not a workman. Is the batter a whiffer? He is a semi-whiffer. The decider die says no. And the result of that play is a ground out to third base, and that will end the inning. We go to the 5th. It is still 7-0 in favor of San Diego, as John Garland remains on in relief, and we go to the player experience charts. Sweeney is a semi-icon at the plate. Garland is neutral. The roll is a 2-5. Do we have an icon batter? We have a semi-icon batter, but the decider die says no, and that will be a line drive out to third base for the first out of the inning. And that brings to the plate Xavier Nady. As we go back to the standard charts, Nady standing in against John Garland. The pitch is a 3-3-6. Is the pitcher an ace or dynamic? No. Is the batter a sad sack, utility, or patient? No. And that will go as a single to center field. So just the third hit of the ball game for, that is a single for Nady, and that is the 11th hit of the ball game for the Padres. And that takes us back to the player experience chart for Ryan Klesko. Klesko is a full icon. And the roll is a 1-6. Do we have an icon pitcher? No. And as a result, the batter connects with a single to the outfield. And on a lead die of 1, that is a 1-base advance for the runner. And that will put men at first and second, still with 1 out for the shortstop, Khalil Green. Garland struggling here in his second inning of work. 5-6-6 is the roll. Is the pitcher wild? No. Does the batter have a good eye? No. And that is a strikeout. So Garland comes back from some adversity there to get the second out of the inning on a strikeout looking to Khalil Green. And as Dizzy Dean would say, they return to their respectable bases. And with 2 outs, the batter will be Damien Jackson, who is 2 for 2 on the night. And that will take us to our right now chart. Okay, the right now chart is what we've got. John Garland is now considered a semi-hot pitcher. It's the 5th inning. And Damien Jackson is a semi-hot batter, so the decider die is going to be huge on this play. And the roll is a 6-6. Do we have a hot batter? The decider die says yes. So he smashes the pitch into the center field stands for a home run. My goodness, the hits just keep on coming for the San Diego Padres as Damien Jackson goes yard with a 3-run shot. And that will make it a 10-0 ball game. When it rains, it pours here at U.S. Cellular Field. As the Boo Birds have come out, Damien Jackson touches them all. And it is a double-digit scoring night for San Diego, and we're only in inning number 5. Garland's going to stay out there and take one for the team as Dave Roberts steps in. Roberts takes a look at a 1-2-5. Is the pitcher a struggler? No, he's not, because the previous batter got the strikeout. Is the batter patient? The decider die says no, and that will be a ground out to third base. And that will end the inning, but not before more damage has been done. The Padres come up with 3 more runs, and it is now a 10-0 ball game. We are now at the midpoint of the ball game. 4.5 innings. And if this is going to stay interesting, I got to tell some stories. So what we'll do right now is a quick channel update. Sundays I typically do My Journey with Jesus. I spent all morning putting that together, but I did not get that recorded in time to get it onto the channel. I almost did, but my wife came home and she came to the basement and she was chatty, and I spent time talking with her before she ran off to work. So after tonight's broadcast, I will make the recording of My Journey with Jesus, and that will be posted later on this evening. God is Love is the My Journey with Jesus topic for today, and certainly we need to reflect on that in this time of cultural turmoil and pandemic. So stay tuned tonight for My Journey with Jesus. Tomorrow, barring some completely unforeseen circumstance and a Chicago White Sox comeback, tomorrow will be Game 3, the third and final game of the championship series of the History Maker Baseball tournament. So History Maker Baseball ends tomorrow night, one way or the other. That will be at 7 p.m. Central Time. And finally, we'll be back on the channel Friday night with the beginning of the 1971-72 edition of the Epic Basketball League. That was a Friday night staple for the first season, and that will be back upon the conclusion of the History Maker Baseball season. As I mentioned yesterday, I do not know if I will have all of the preparations ready to do an actual game on Friday night or whether we'll just do a preview show. But Friday Night Basketball returns to the Epic Sports Broadcasting network this coming week with action from the 1971-72 NBA season with Action PC Baseball. All right, that is our update on the channel here at the midpoint of tonight's ball game. And Jake Peavy returns to the mound for his 5th inning of work, cruising with a 2-hitter going through the first 4 innings. And facing 8, 9, and 1 here in the 5th, Valentin, Olivo, and Rowand. Here's Valentin. He takes a look at a 1-3-6. Is the pitch release? No. Is the batter a whiffer or cold? He is a whiffer, and that is a strikeout. And that brings Miguel Olivo to the plate. Pitch to Olivo. That's going to go a 1-1-2. Is the pitcher a flash? He is a flash, and that is another strikeout for Jake Peavy. And quickly 2 up and 2 down with the leadoff hitter Aaron Rowand coming back to the plate. Rowand struck out his last time at the plate. Struck out 3 times in Game 1 of the series. And on a roll of 2-5-6, the pitcher is not a struggler. The batter is not a champion or patient. We're going back to the Infield Drama Charts. And on the Infield Drama Chart for the Padres, we are going to take a look at the first baseman. The first baseman is Mark Sweeney. Is he gold? I don't think so. Mark Sweeney is a normal fielder, so he is not gold, and he is not able to make the leaping grab of the poor throw from the infielder. The ball sails over the head of Sweeney, and the batter will be safe at first base on the error. And we will score that error. Actually, the decider die says the error should go on number 3, which would be Sweeney. So we'll call that an error on Sweeney, as Sweeney overshot Jake Peavy on the attempted 3-1 ground out. What the heck? So in play, error on Sweeney on the throw. And Aaron Rowand chugs into first base with 2 men out and Mark Loretta coming to the plate. And we go back to the standard batting charts for this one. As the roll is a 3-5-6. Are batter and pitcher the same? Yes, they are. Oh, I'm sorry, this should be Carlos Lee, but that doesn't change the fact that the batter and pitcher are the same. And so that will still be a strikeout, as Peavy strikes out Carlos Lee to end the inning with the 10-run lead intact. And now it's Mark Loretta coming to the plate against John Garland with nobody out here in the top of the 6th. John Garland will be semi-fresh this inning. And he is going to throw up there a 2-4-5. Nothing in the pitcher's column. Is the batter a hero? He's a semi-hero, and the decider die says yes. And Mark Loretta leads off the inning with a base hit to left. Bringing to the plate Brian Giles. Giles takes a look at a 1-3-4. Do we have a gold catcher? No. Is the batter a champion? This time the decider die says no. And that's going to take us back to the outfield drama chart. More outfield drama in Chicago. Wouldn't you know it? With the wind blowing in and playing havoc with the fielding, we are going to take a look at the center fielder. Is the center fielder gold? The center fielder is Aaron Rowand. He is gold. The wind blowing in makes him semi-gold, but the decider die says once again he is gold, and this time it will be Rowand who is able to make the sliding grab of the sinking line drive for the out. Good play that time by Aaron Rowand to retire Giles with the first out of the inning. And that will take us to the team chemistry chart. Or no, I'm sorry, the player experience chart. That's red. Garland is a neutral pitcher on the experience chart. Hernandez is a semi-icon at the plate. And the roll is a 1-2. Is the batter an icon? The decider die this time says no. And that will be a strikeout. And that will take us over to the Baseball Right Now charts. Mark Sweeney's your batter. He was retired at his last at bat. John Garland struck out the last man he faced, so it will be a neutral batter against a hot pitcher. And the roll is a 4-4. The batter steps out of the batter's box, calls timeout, then returns to the plate and takes ball 4 for a walk. That brings Xavier Nady to the plate, and finally, after 3 rolls in a row, we go back to the standard batting charts. As the dice jumps off the table. Even the dice can't bear to watch this game, as it's a 10-0 ball game, and the Padres are threatening to add to the lead here with 2 outs and 2 men on in the top of the 6th. The pitch to Xavier Nady is a 2-6-6, and oh, that's that goofy runner at first thrown out. That always seems to come up at the weirdest times. As Mark Sweeney wanders off first base, and John Garland got him with the hidden ball trick that time. All right, so that ends the top of the 6th as Garland dances off the hook. As we go to the bottom of the 6th, it is still a 10-0 ball game, and Peavy is cruising. He will have the heart of the order to deal with in this inning, with Ordonez, Thomas, and Joe Creedy, 3, 4, and 5. Ordonez, the hot hitter tonight, and on a 3-5-5. Is the pitcher a struggler? No. Is the batter a champion? The decider die says no. Is the batter a whiffer? No, he's not. That's a ground out to second base. And that brings Frank Thomas to the plate. Peavy mowing him down here today. The pitch to Thomas, 3-4-6. Is the batter eager? No. That's going to be a walk. So Thomas draws the walk. And that takes us over to the team chemistry chart, as Joe Creedy comes to the plate. The pitch to Creedy is a 2-2. Do we have batting team dissonance? The White Sox are not dissonant. And so Creedy gets around on that one and strokes a double. Creedy delivers the double. And that will be a 2-base advance for Frank Thomas. So Thomas pulls in at third. Creedy pulls in at second. And with 1 out and 2 men on, it is Paul Konerko coming to the plate. Padres will play the infield back all the way around. They'll give up the run here to get the out. The pitch to Konerko is a 1-4-6. And is the pitcher a flash? Yes, he is. That's a strikeout. Jake Peavy says, I don't need no sticking infield in. I'm just going to strike out Konerko. And with 2 on and 2 out now, the batter is Tony Graffinino. Peavy sights the sign. Lines and delivers. 2-2-6. Is the batter hit by the pitch? Oh, the decider die says the batter is hit by the pitch. And that's going to load the bases. Not the outcome that Peavy was looking for on that pitch, and certainly no reason for ill will between the teams with a 10-0 lead. Peavy just wants to record outs, and with the bases loaded now and 2 outs, Jose Valentin comes to the plate. The pitch to Valentin is a 1-1-6. Is the pitcher fresh? He's semi-fresh. This time the decider die says yes, and that will be a strikeout. So Peavy pitches out of trouble in the 6th, and through 6 complete, it's still a 10-0 ball game. And we still have 3 people in the chat room. And I think I'm just going to keep the innings rolling here. If anybody wants to hear a story, say something in the chat room and I'll tell a story. Otherwise, we are going to keep rolling through the innings here and see if we can't get this ball game to bed in the next few minutes and rest up the pipes for tomorrow. Okay, John Garland has pitched, I believe, 2 1/3 innings. Yes, Garland has gone 2 1/3. And we will go ahead and pull him at this point, and we'll bring in one of the rag arms out of the White Sox bullpen. They've got a couple of guys who are just mop-up guys. Let's see, Billy Koch and Rick White. Rick White has not pitched since game 1 of the tournament. He's a full struggler and a full workman, so we'll let him go out there and burn a few innings for Chicago, facing this 10 deficit. And we're going to save the good arms, Tom Gordon and Damaso Marte and Kelly Wunsch, for the deciding game 3 tomorrow. So Garland comes out. He gave up 3 runs, so did not do a very good job of keeping the game close, but the game wasn't close when he came in, so he can't be blamed for this mess. But it will be Rick White coming into the game to face 6, 7, and 8, Nady, Klesko, and Khalil Green. And Xavier Nady comes to the plate. Takes a look at a 5.56. Is the pitcher an ace? Certainly not. Is the batter a sad sack? No. And the first batter of the inning is Nady, and he delivers a double to right. That brings Ryan Klesko to the plate. The pitch to Klesko is a 1.45. Is the pitcher a struggler? He's a full struggler. That's a wild pitch. So Nady moves to third on the wild pitch. And Klesko returns to the plate. Infield back all the way around. The roll is a 2.45. Is the batter a hero? No. That's a pop out to second base. So Rick White gets the first out of the inning on the pop-up to Klesko. And that brings Khalil Green to the plate, and it takes us to our player experience charts. Rick White's a semi-icon. Khalil Green is a semi-prospect. On a roll of 2.6, do we have an icon pitcher? The decider die says no, and the batter drops a single over second base. So Khalil Green delivers a single. Xavier Nady scores, and it's now an 11-0 ball game. And that brings number 9 hitter Damien Jackson to the plate as we head back to the normal pitching and batting chart. 1, 2, 3 is the pitch to Jackson. Is the pitcher both flash and fresh? He is fresh. The decider die says he's a flash, and that's a strikeout. Khalil Green holds, and that brings to the plate Dave Roberts, 2 for 4 on the night with a single, and that bases clearing triple that busted this game open in the second inning. Here's Roberts. 2.25 is the roll. Is the pitcher a star? No. Is the batter a slugger or a sad sack? No. That's going to be a single to center field. Khalil Green coasts into second base, and that brings to the plate the cold-hitting Mark Loretta. Loretta 2 for 4 on the game, and now on a 4.46. Is the pitcher a star? No. Is the batter a sad sack, utility, or patient? No. That's a single to right. And on a lead die of 4, that's a 2-base advance for the runners. That makes it a 12-0 ball game, and that brings Brian Giles to the plate as we go back to the player experience chart. Icon batter versus semi-icon pitcher, and on a 2-4, the icon batter delivers a single just inside the baseline, and that will score Dave Roberts. And that will make it a 13-0 ball game, with Ramon Hernandez coming to the plate. And the White Sox fans are leaving the park. It looks like demolition derby night all over again. 1-2-4 is the pitch. Is the pitcher a control pitcher? He is. The decider die says yes. That's a ground out to shortstop. Mercifully, the inning is over. But not before the Padres add 3 more to the lead. And it is now a 13-0 ball game. This is a good old-fashioned mud hole stomping as Jake Peavy is on the mound and continuing to roll as we head into the bottom of the 7th. Oh, top of the 7th, it's time for the 7th inning stretch. Last night we had a stirring rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game provided by Brandon Baker on, what was that, a marimba or a mandolin or something or other that Brandon plays. He's apparently a very accomplished musician. And although he forgot to turn on his microphone, he did give us a stirring rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. We are here in Chicago tonight, so we'll call upon Mike Ditka to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I heard Mike Ditka sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game during a Cubs game, and he was absolutely the worst I have ever heard. I don't know if that's on YouTube, but if you're looking for something more entertaining than a 13-0 simulated baseball game on a Sunday afternoon, go look up Mike Ditka singing the national anthem at Wrigley Field, or singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game at Wrigley Field. It is a hoot. All right, back to action we go with Miguel Olivo standing in against Jake Peavy. 2-2-3 is the roll. Is the pitcher wild? No. Is the batter a slugger or a utility? He is a semi-utility. The decider die says yes. Is he a whiffer? Yes. That's going to be a strikeout. Another strikeout for Peavy as the beat keeps rolling. And Aaron Rowand comes to the plate. 0 for 3 on the night. 1-4-6 is the pitch to Rowand. And Peavy is a flash, and that's a strikeout. And that brings Carlos Lee to the plate now with 2 men out and the base is empty. Peavy cruising through a 3-hit out. And on a 4-5-6, is the batter patient? No, that's a fly out to center field to end the inning. And that will take us to the top of the 8th. Rick White is going to come out for another inning of work for Chicago. And that is going to take us to the team chemistry chart to start things off here in the top of the 8th with Mark Sweeney at the plate. And we've got a 1-2. We have batting team dissonance. The Padres came into this game semi-dissonant. The decider die says no, and that's going to be a fence check. Let's see. Mark Sweeney is a semi-home run king. The decider die says he is a home run king. And on a roll of 3, that ball is out of here. So a meaningless home run for Mark Sweeney makes it a 14-0 ball game. And that brings to the plate Xavier Nady. Nady standing in against Rick White takes a look at a 1-4-5. Is the pitcher a struggler? He's a full struggler. So that would be a wild pitch, but there's nobody on base. And the end result instead will be a ground out to third base. And that is the first out of the inning. Brings to the plate Ryan Klesko, 2 for 4 with a pair of singles. And on a 1-3-6, is the pitcher an ace? No. Is the batter a whiffer? No. Is he cold? No. And that takes us to the infield drama chart. What will the infield drama chart have in store for the White Sox? The roll is a 2-5. Is the second baseman iron? That is Tony Graffinino, and I believe he's a gold-rated fielder. He's semi-gold, so he is not iron. And on the roll of 2-5, that will be a routine bouncer to Graffinino for the putout. So Klesko is retired on the ground out, and with 2 outs, that will bring to the plate Khalil Green. The pitch to Green is a 4-5-6. Is the batter patient? No, that's a fly out to center field. And that ends the top of the 8th inning. All right, So we go to the bottom of the 8th, and it remains a 14-0 ball game as Jake Peavy is still on the mound. He's used up all of his freshness, but he is coasting. And the Padres are just going to save their bullpen and hope Peavy can ride this one out. Maglio Ordonez will lead things off when we go to the team chemistry chart. And on a roll of 2-6, do we have batting team harmony? The White Sox have harmony today, and that will be a base hit for Ordonez. I don't know how you still have harmony when you're trailing 14-0, but the rules say that's how it's played. And we've got a base hit. And Frank Thomas is now the batter. The pitch to Thomas is a 2-3-5. Is the pitcher wild? No. Is the batter eager? No. That is a ground out to second base. And on a lead die of 2, that goes as a fielder's choice. So score that a fielder's choice. We'll score that 4-6. Ordonez is forced out on his way to second. Frank Thomas safe at first. And there's now one man out with Joe Creedy coming to the plate. Pitch to Creedy is a 1-2-3. Is the pitcher both flash and fresh? No, he's used up his freshness. Instead, the end result is a ground out to shortstop, and on a lead die of 1, that will go as a double play. Six to 4-3 around the horn, and that ends the 8th inning for Chicago, and brings the Padres back to the plate in the top of the 9th with a 14-0 lead. Rick White is going to stay out there. They have no intentions whatsoever of using him in the deciding game of the series, and he can go another inning without violating the relief rules, although he will no longer have any freshness this inning. Pitch from Rick White to Damien Jackson is a 1-5-6. Is Jackson a whiffer? The decider die says yes, and Jackson goes down swinging to start the top of the 9th as the Padres bat for what they hope will be the final time. Here's Dave Roberts, 3 for 5 on the night. Looks at a pitch from Rick White, and it's a 1-4-5. Is the pitcher a struggler? Yes, he is, but there's nobody on base, so there will be no wild pitch. And instead, we've got a ground ball to third base. Creedy delivers it across the diamond to Konerko, and quickly 2 men are out. And that brings to the plate Mark Loretta. Loretta, a cold guy tonight, facing Rick White. 1-3-4 is the roll. Is the batter a champion? No. We go to the outfield drama chart. What would this game be without another trip to the outfield drama chart for the White Sox? Wind is still blowing in, and the roll is a 5-6. Is the left fielder iron? Your left fielder tonight is Carlos Lee. Lee is a neutral fielder. With the wind blowing in, that makes him semi-iron, but he does not draw the pip on the decider die, so he does not become an iron fielder, and instead he is able to run under the looping fly ball and make the catch for the out. So nice play by Carlos Lee, which will end the top of the 9th and bring us to the bottom of the 9th as Jake Peavy attempts to finish what he started. Meanwhile, the rallying cry goes up on the White Sox bench, much like my old church softball teams. 14 to tie, 15 to win. The White Sox got him right where they want him in this situation as Paul Konerko stands in to lead off the inning against Peavy. The pitch to Konerko is a 5-5-6. Is the pitcher an ace? No. Is the batter a sad sack? No. And Konerko leads off the inning with a double to right. That brings Tony Graffinino to the plate. Graffinino takes a look at a 1-2-2. Is the pitcher a workman? No. Is the batter a champ or a whiffer? He is a semi-whiffer. The decider die says no. And the result is a line out to third base. That is your first out of the inning. Konerko returns to second. Jose Valentin comes to the plate. Semi-utility, semi-slugger, semi-home run king, and on a 1-3-5, we are going back to the umpire charts. We have the runner on second this time. What will this motley crew of men in blue have to do this time? 3-6 is the roll. Do we have a questionable umpire at home? Dave Gardner is semi-questionable. The decider die says yes. So Dave Gardner does not hear the batter call timeout, and he rings up the batter on a called third strike. Wouldn't you know it? Dave Gardner rings up the batter, who is trying to call for timeout, and with 2 outs now, that brings Miguel Olivo to the plate. And just for fun, we're going to bring out a pinch hitter for the White Sox, somebody that hasn't seen a whole lot of action. We are going to go with, just for fun, Brian Daubach will come on to pinch hit. I don't know if he's seen a lot of action, but what the heck. Number 23 on your scorecard, number 1 in your hearts. The pitch from Peavy is a 2-2-5. Is the pitcher a star? He is a star, and that is a ground out to the choice infielder. In this case, Ramon Hernandez picks up the dribbler in front of the plate, throws out Mark Sweeney, and mercifully this ball game is over. So Jake Peavy is clearly your star of the game, a complete game 5-hit shutout, and the White Sox go down in frustration in Game 2 of the series, and we will be back in action tomorrow with the third and final game of the series and the final game of the best team I've ever seen tournament. Your score tonight is San Diego 14 and Chicago nothing, as Jake Peavy pitches a wonderful 5-hit shutout. And let's take a look at the batting statistics for San Diego, and this may take a while. 3 for 6 was Dave Roberts with a couple runs scored. And Roberts had that big triple that cleared the bases in the second inning, and he will definitely be the hot batter for the finale of the series. Ramon Hernandez got only 1 hit, so he will still be your cold guy for the 3rd game in a row. Let's see, we had 3 hits and 3 runs scored for Damien Jackson and 4 RBIs. Very nice performance for Jackson. Let's see, we got everybody else pretty much has 2 runs scored and or 2 RBIs, as the Padres pound out 20 hits, scoring 14 runs off of Bartolo Colon and a couple of rag arm relievers. I use that term a lot, rag arm, R-A-G-A-R-M. You have a rag for an arm. That's a typical Little League chant we used as a kid. We probably wouldn't be allowed to get away with that these days, but it was fun back in the day. Now, the pitching line for Peavy. This is going to be impressive. As D. Scott Howard says, another fun game. Looking forward to the final. Thanks, D. Scott. Thanks for hanging around. And we will definitely look forward to the series finale and the tournament finale tomorrow. Very good performance for Jake Peavy. Complete game shutout, 5 hits and 12 strikeouts, compared to only 3 walks. So wonderful pitching night for Peavy. The team batting for Chicago. Only 5 hits. 2 hits for Maglio Ordonez. He will keep his status as the hot batter. Aaron Rowand 0 for 4, Carlos Lee 0 for 4, Frank Thomas 0 for 3 with a walk and a couple of strikeouts. Jose Valentin 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. So it will be probably Valentin who takes the role of the cold batter in the series finale. And the messy pitching lines for Chicago. Bartolo Colon lasted 3 2/3, gave up 7 runs on 10 hits, no home runs. John Garland pitched 2 1/3, gave up 3 runs. Rick White pitched the final 3 and gave up 4 more runs to set the final at 14-0 in favor of the visiting Padres. So Game 3 will be tomorrow night. The pitching matchup will be for the Padres, Woody Williams, 9-12 with a 4.85 ERA. And for the White Sox, the lefty Mark Burley, 14-14 on the season with a 4.14 ERA. So thank you to everybody who came out to the ballpark this afternoon. D. Scott Howard, Brandon Baker, Amish King. Hope you all enjoyed it. Those of you catching the game on the replay on the Epic Sports Broadcasting Network, thank you for checking things out today. We will see you tomorrow with the championship game of the best team I've ever seen tournament. It all comes down to this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining me. That's our stream, and I am out of here.